The island of Niihau and the very small island of Lehua Rock, which you see here, is located 17 miles off the northwest corner of the island of Kauai. Because it's so isolated in the middle of the sea, it doesn't have much runoff and the island is very dry. Matter of fact, it's a bird sanctuary and also a haven for monk seals, sharks, and marine life. Niihau, 10,000 years ago, was actually out of the water. And these canyons that you see underwater were carved by rivers that went through, just like the Grand Canyon was. It's really deep right offshore, and so the water is clear, and it attracts the big mid-ocean type animals like this sandbar shark. There's monk seals out there, 4 to 5 different shark species, and it's not uncommon in the winter to see a pair of whales go by. Big alua, huge schools of butterfly fish. It is so straight up and down though, and the water is so clear that one has to be careful about not diving too deep. And you definitely need to go out there with an experienced person. During the Ice Age, when all of these animals were way deeper water and way offshore, as the water came back up, it left all of these cracks and canyons in the side of the cliff that were actually made after a volcanic lava flow by the rivers and the creeks going by. This is incredible habitat for the fish and the marine life. As you look down the bluff right here, 400 feet straight down, you may find yourself in a school of these millet seed butterfly fish. They're actually there eating a lot of the algae that grows on the edge of the cliff. There's a dozen different types of butterfly fish and angelfish that live on the island of Niihau and on this underwater pyramid point. Here you see my photographer Pam taking still pictures while I'm doing underwater video. It is a photographer's paradise here. The water's clear, straight up and down cliffs, and marine life everywhere you look. Niihau is definitely one of my favorite places anywhere in Hawaii to dive at. Look at here where you have the corals growing off the edge of the reef, and the butterfly fish, the raccoon butterfly fish, find it as their safe haven. They hide out underneath these coral heads, feed on the algae and small critters and some of the coral itself, but then they can duck underneath the coral if a shark comes by or some other critter that may want to eat them. In the islands of Hawaii, we have a number of endemic fish. That means ones that only live here in Hawaii. One of them is the Hawaiian dacilus. This is the black and white one you see on this beautiful antler coral. When you get close to these big antler corals, the dacilus dive into the coral, and that's a way they find protection so they won't get hurt. If you remain real calm and sit there, they'll come right back out of the coral and dance right in front of you. The reefs here in Niihau are very pristine compared to most other places in Hawaii. The reason is Niihau is dry. It doesn't have any rain run off into the ocean to bring sediment and mud to go out and harm the reefs. The water's clear and there's a lot of upwelling. We look at Niihau as basically our baby farm for the Hawaiian Islands. There's so much sea life there, so much healthy reef like these beautiful cauliflower corals that dot the entire top of Pyramid Point here. And it's also the factory kind of area where there's a lot of baby fish that are hatched there every year that hide in the healthy corals, and then they can go out to sea and or be washed by the currents over to Kauai and other places. So we really respect Niihau as being the future of healthy reefs here in the Hawaiian Islands, and a wonderful place to go dive and experience as a scuba diver or a snorkeler.